Yesterday, I was having a chat with Yasser, who is one of our community member, and we were discussing about custom elements. So as you know that if we take a look at the elements that we have inside Webflow, so you cannot find all the elements, all the HTML elements, but you have the custom element. So this is right at the bottom. Uh, and you have the opportunity to convert this custom element into any element, into any HTML element. So let me just take you to the documentation, which is MDN Web Docs, and this is one of the largest and one of the best documentation for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And if we take a look to different elements, like let's go to this input types, and as we know that we have the button element in Webflow, we have the checkbox element, but we do not have the color and we do not have the date element. So let me just click on this date element, and let's try to add a date input inside Webflow. Right, so let's click here, let's add a custom element, and by default this is the div tag is assigned to this custom element, but we can convert it into any HTML element. So let's use this input tag. Let me just copy and paste it right there, and now our div block has been converted into an input field. So now let's convert this input field into a date input. So we know that type is equal to date. So let's go back, and we can also add the attributes by double clicking on this custom element. So inside the attributes, let's add type is equal to date. So now our text input has been converted into a date input. So now I can select a date. This looks awesome. This looks really good, right? But we have more options there. So you can see that we have more attributes. And this one is really interesting for me, which is the minimum and the maximum limit. So let's say that you do not want the user to select a date before 1st of March 2025. So we have that option. So let's copy this date, and inside this date, so this is the year, this is the month, and this is the day, right? So this has already been mentioned in the documentation. So let's copy this date, let's go back and add one more attribute, which is going to be minimum, and let's paste that date and change it to 1st of March 2025, right? So now if I open this input, so I won't be able to select a date which is before 1st of March. So you can take a look to the other attributes as well. So let's try one other input field, which is the color. And so the tag is the same for this input, but the type is different. So let's copy this color, or we can type color there. So let's remove this attribute, and let's change type to color. This is as simple. And now if I click on this input, so I can choose a color from this color picker. So we can take color inputs from the users. This is really interesting. So now you do not have any complaints about the elements in Webflow, because you have the custom element and you can convert that custom element into any HTML element.